Ever wondered what our world would look like if history took a darker turn? What if Nazi Germany had won World War II? Imagine a world shrouded in tyranny, where freedom is just a distant memory and darkness rules unchecked. Today, we're diving into a chilling alternate timeline, one that reminds us of the incredible sacrifices that kept this nightmare at bay. Stay tuned as we explore this terrifying what if, a stark look at a future we're thankfully not living in, but must never forget. Let's get started. The road to an unthinkable victory. In this alternate universe, the pivotal moments that shaped our history diverged dramatically from what actually transpired. The most significant turning point, the D-Day invasion, failed catastrophically. Instead of the Allied forces storming Normandy's beaches and beginning the liberation of Western Europe, they faced a devastating defeat. The beaches turned into graveyards of hope, and the momentum shifted decisively in favor of the Nazis. With the Western Front secured, Nazi Germany consolidated its power in the West, establishing a formidable base from which to expand further. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union, already battered by years of brutal conflict, was unable to withstand the relentless German assault. Moscow fell, and the vast resources of the East were seized by the Nazi war machine. The collapse of the Soviet Union was swift and complete, turning Eastern Europe into a puppet state or a German-controlled territory. Britain, battered by relentless bombing campaigns, was forced into negotiations, surrendering its resistance and accepting a peace dictated by the Nazi regime. The United States, caught in a two-front war, shifted its focus predominantly to the Pacific theater, leaving Europe vulnerable to the growing Nazi expansion. By 1946, the map of the world had been fundamentally redrawn. The Third Reich's iron grip extended across Europe, its swastika flying from the Atlantic to the Ural Mountains, symbolizing an empire of fear and domination. The dream of a thousand-year Reich had become a horrifying reality. Nazi power was no longer a threat. It was the world order, a dystopian reality. The consequences of Nazi victory were devastating and far-reaching. The Nazi regime, under the guise of racial purity and national strength, installed puppet governments across conquered territories. These regimes were loyal only to Berlin, and local cultures and identities were systematically suppressed. Resistance movements, which in our actual history fought bravely and fiercely, faced brutal suppression. Any whisper of dissent was met with swift and merciless retribution. A pervasive police state infiltrated every aspect of daily life. The Gestapo and SS operated with unchecked authority, monitoring citizens and crushing opposition. Fear became a constant companion. Propaganda flooded every corner of the continent, reinforcing Nazi ideology and eroding any remnants of free thought. Education, art, and media were all manipulated to serve the regime's narrative, erasing histories that conflicted with Nazi doctrine. The regime's racial policies, already horrific in our history, expanded exponentially. Millions of lives were condemned under the twisted ideology of racial superiority. The Holocaust, which in our reality was a genocide of unimaginable horror, extended beyond its historical scope. Entire populations in Eastern Europe were eradicated, their lands resettled with German settlers, or left to decay in the wake of systematic extermination. This dark era also saw the emergence of a new Cold War, though not against communism, as in our actual history, but against the Nazi superpower. The United States, isolated and under threat, found itself embroiled in a relentless technological arms race. Both superpowers developed nuclear weapons, creating an unstable balance of terror that loomed over humanity. The specter of total annihilation cast a long shadow across the globe. Beyond Earth, the competition extended into space. Rocket technology, emblazoned with swastikas and Nazi symbols, vied for dominance over the moon and beyond. Science and technology advanced rapidly, though often distorted by the regime's ideology, fueling fears of a future where control over space and advanced weaponry became a new frontier of conflict. Life under the shadow of tyranny. Daily life in Nazi-controlled Europe was a constant struggle. Children were indoctrinated from a young age, learning to worship Hitler and to accept the regime's racial doctrines. History was rewritten to glorify Nazi achievements and justify their brutal policies. Science was distorted. Genetics and biology were manipulated to support racist theories. Art and culture were censored. Creativity was suppressed unless it conformed to Nazi ideals. Public life was dominated by propaganda. Citizens were encouraged or forced to spy on neighbors, report dissent, and conform to strict social norms. Families were torn apart by suspicion and state surveillance. Religious institutions, except those sanctioned by the regime, faced persecution. Traditional religions were replaced or suppressed, replaced by Nazi-aligned pseudo-religious doctrines that demanded unwavering loyalty to Hitler and the Reich. Meanwhile, the Nazi elite lived in opulence. Their palaces and luxurious estates starkly contrasted with the widespread poverty, fear, and suffering of the general populace. This disparity underscored the deep corruption and moral decay at the core of the regime, the fragile future of the Nazi Empire. Despite its apparent strength, the Nazi Empire was inherently unstable. No empire lasts forever, and internal fractures were inevitable. Corruption, power struggles, and the burden of maintaining a vast nuclear arsenal threatened to destabilize the regime from within. The overreach and brutality that sustained the empire inflicted lasting scars on the cultures, languages, and human lives of the subjugated peoples. Resistance, though suppressed, never fully disappeared. Underground movements and rebellious factions persisted, fueled by hope and the resilience of the human spirit. History shows that even the most oppressive regimes are vulnerable to internal dissent, and the Nazi regime would not be an exception. Its downfall, however, might have come only after decades of unchecked tyranny and suffering. The lessons and the cost of freedom. Looking at this alternate history offers a stark reminder. Thankfully, this nightmare scenario never materialized. The victory of the Allied forces was a triumph of courage, sacrifice, and resilience. Their success prevented this dark future from ever becoming our reality. It underscores the profound costs of freedom and the importance of vigilance in defending democratic values. This hypothetical scenario emphasizes the fragility of peace and the dangers of hate-driven ideologies. It reminds us that the seeds of hatred and intolerance, if left unchecked, can grow into regimes capable of unimaginable atrocities. The lessons of history demand that we remember the past, not just to honor those who fought to preserve liberty, but also to ensure such horrors are never repeated. A call to vigilance. While this exploration of an alternate timeline is fictional, it carries powerful lessons. It urges us to cherish and protect the freedoms we enjoy, and to remain vigilant against the rise of ideologies rooted in hatred, intolerance, and tyranny. The sacrifices made during World War II and the resilience of countless individuals serve as a testament to the indomitable human spirit. This hypothetical history also underscores the importance of education, remembrance, and active citizenship. Only by understanding the depths of darkness that could have been can we truly appreciate the light we have fought to preserve. Vigilance, compassion, and a commitment to justice are our best defenses against the resurgence of such ideologies. If this exploration has provoked thought or reflection, remember that history is not just a record of the past, but a guide for the future. By studying the darkest chapters, we empower ourselves to prevent their repetition. The world we live in today is fragile and precious. Let us honor those who fought for its preservation and remain steadfast in our duty to protect freedom, tolerance, and human dignity. Thanks for exploring this haunting alternate reality with us. Remember, history's lessons are vital, reminding us of the importance of freedom, courage, and vigilance. If you found this video eye-opening, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a deep dive into the past that shapes our future. And let us know in the comments, what do you think the world would look like if history had taken a darker turn? Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and never forget the sacrifices that keep us free.